Hello viewers, welcome to our program on Immigration and You. I am your immigration attorney Michael Fulwani, and once again we are with us my law partner David Nachman. David, welcome.
Thanks so much, Michael. Always a pleasure.
So before we start the program today, let me remind you in Hindi, maybe David may say a couple of words. This week you have Holi. Holi aayi re manao, rang se khaiye, mithaiyan kijiye, enjoy. This is the holy time. With that, you want to say something about the Holi?
I just want to say I want to wish everyone happy Holi and enjoy throwing the paint. I know we don't do it as much in the United States. It's probably not recommended.
Those colored
but
paints, yeah, okay.
Not recommended here, but I'm sure that your friends and relatives at home are enjoying.
Okay, thank you. All right, also one other announcement we want to make, that sometimes when we do a program, we obviously do the programs well in advance, they are pre-recorded, but some important breaking news takes place, which we probably wouldn't have had when we were doing the recording. So if something like that happens, we have requested the studio, then they will run the breaking news information under the bottom of the program. So this way we'll keep you updated. So don't get worried if you are saying something that might have changed, because this is the way sometimes moving so fast. David is. So like today we are doing this recording this program on a Friday, and by tonight we are going to see what happens on the budget, and by tomorrow maybe something else. So things change very, very fast these days.
Right. We're waiting to hear what's going to happen with regard to the budget right now. We know that this is obviously a big fight as to whether or not the DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is or is not going to be receiving funding. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But anything can happen.
Okay, let's start with the program, giving you some news which may not be very good, but don't worry too much about that. We are confident, so is President Obama is confident, and most of the advocates of the immigration are competent that this probably will go away. What is the problem is that on the DACA and the DAPA program that we have been talking in the last several programs, the state of Texas filed a suit against the U.S. government and all related agencies, and they challenge the constitutionality of this administrative opinions on the actions that Obama is taking. And that suit is pending in the court. In the meantime, they also requested for an injunction. An injunction under the law is that the government cannot implement this until the decision is made on the main case. And this judge, I have his name here,
Judge Andrew Hannon.
Andrew Hannon then granted the injunction. Now he's a federal court judge, and the President Obama did say they will comply with the order because that's the right thing to do.
He's a federal court judge who was appointed by President Bush and is a very, very radical Republican.
That's the political side of the story, but that we see that happens many times
in
cases like that. So the net result of this thing is that they are putting a hold on the DACA and DAPA cases. For the DACA, let me clarify. DACA that was initially issued, I think, in 2014, which said that the children that came before 2007 and have been here, they will be getting a EAD for 2 years, all that continues. That is not affected by this. It is the later expansion of the DACA program that came later on, in which they said those children come before October 10, what, right? January 10th, sorry. January 10th, they can also apply, and they will be getting 3 years of EAD. So that is affected by this injunction. Also the DAPA, which are the parents of children who are green card holders or citizens, that also is kind of temporarily stopped. So this is the latest news so far the DACA DAPA is concerned. Let me have David make any comment on that. I'll go further on that.
Okay, well, in terms of comment, I guess I'd just like to maybe spend a little time doing the background, Michael, and then maybe we'll come back and discuss some of the politics behind what exactly happened. Because in our previous program, we weren't able to really cover what was happening with the court, and I think that's important, is that this Judge Hannon had come down, issued what's called a temporary restraining order. A restraining order means that the government can't act. And what's interesting about the restraining order is that there are certain things that you have to prove. And one of the things that you have to prove is that there's going to be damage to a particular party. And so his argument was that the damage that was going to occur had to do with the state of Texas, and 26 other states had joined in this litigation for the restraining order. And Judge Hannon said that the state of Texas is not going to be able to issue driver's license to the individuals who are considered to be DACA and DAPA, which is absolutely ridiculous, because if obviously the USCIS can issue EADs, I don't see a reason why the state of Texas can't issue driver's license. And also, the state of Texas stands to make a lot of money, of course, if they're issuing these driver's licenses, because people are going to be paying for it. But the critical nature and why this decision is defective is because it was based on what's called the Administrative Procedures Act. And really, there's no Administrative Procedures Act issue here. It's something we've talked about in our prior programs. The deferred action is not regulatory. The deferred action is what's called executive action. Michael has referred to it many times in the past. All the president did was modified the pre-existing law. There is no new regulation. So we are both very cautiously optimistic that this TRO will either be overturned or appealed. And that's what President Obama said he's going to do. He's going to use every possible way that's available to him to overturn this decision. So the first way that they're doing it is, number one, they're going to seek a dissolution of the temporary restraining order. And on Monday morning, they ran into court. The Justice Department ran into court and filed for a dissolution of the restraining order. And at the same time, they also sought in a higher court, the appeals court, to appeal the determination. So these things are presently pending. Now, it's not what ended up happening, of course, is that on the 18th of February, that was the date when the applications were supposed to be taken for the expanded DACA program. And unfortunately, you may be aware, there was an announcement made by the USCIS that they were not taking any of these applications. So, but however, they're not taking them forever. It means that what they're doing is they're just putting it on hold until such time that the restraining order is dissolved. Once it's resolved, you'll be able to make those applications.
Once
Michael?
again, I must repeat that again, that those people who have already applied under the DACA, under the previous original program,
The old DACA program.
are not affected. And if you have not done so, and you qualify under that, you can still apply. That is not affected by this court case.
Right. And
So,
yeah, I just on that note, Michael, what's really interesting also is that we've received many DACA extensions. So what's kind of interesting is on the first DACA program that was originally announced in 2012, when the president went into the Rose Garden and announced the DACA program, the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, what's interesting is that was a 2-year work authorization. But what's interesting is when we went to file for the extensions, they're giving them for 3 years. Now, that was part of the announcement that was made in November. So what happened was, after November, the government, even for the old program, started issuing 3-year extensions. So it was really nice to see that all of a sudden those 3-year extensions were coming through. Now, we have not received any DACA extension approvals yet since the court case. So it's very interesting to know what, of course, the court case's impact is. Do they go back to the 2 years, or do they continue issuing the 3 years? So that's a very interesting outcome, because remember, the 3-year applicability of the work authorization applied to the new DACA extension and to the DAPA, which is coming in June. Right.
Expansion
Exactly.
is what is affected.
Exactly.
Now, President Obama very clearly and strongly said he is going to fight tooth and nail to get this matter to the highest courts. From this, let us see what happens, whether the injunction on his own in a day or two, he may decide, the judge may decide, which are less likely. The same judge is probably not going to redo that, but we'll see. And then if the decision is made that this is unconstitutional, then the case may go in appeal to the appellate court. And if even that doesn't decide in the favor, ultimately it may come to the Supreme Court. The only problem there is the litigation moves in time period, different time periods. It may take some time for the Supreme Court to make a decision. But all the advocates, all the immigrant groups, the President Obama, everybody is very strongly supporting this and believing that this will go away by virtue of the court order, a final court decision, or maybe politically or by legislation. So the advice is that don't be discouraged or give up on this. Even if you are not applied, even if you are affected by this decision, don't just let it go like this. You, on your own, prepare all your papers, still keep it ready, because once it opens up, you should be fully ready to immediately apply for it.
I absolutely agree, Michael. In fact, we are extremely optimistic that this decision will be overturned. We are telling our clients to continue to prepare their DAPA applications, and while we have the new DACA expanded applications ready to go, we're just waiting for the green light to do that. And I think what's interesting, Michael, you pointed out the constitutionality issue, and I think I just want to go back to that. You see, I don't see that there's a constitutionality issue at all here, because what the president did was not unconstitutional at all. And I think that's really what lies at the heart of this whole matter, is a misunderstanding by our government, unfortunately, and by the radical Republicans, that there is no constitutional issue here. The reason why there's no constitutional issue is because, again, the president was doing what he was allowed to do. What he did with all of these programs that were announced on November 20th and November 21st was that he vetted these programs, and a memorandum was issued by his staff, and they made absolutely certain that there was not going to be a constitutionality issue. So while of course in court you can claim anything, of course, which they do, because they want to throw enough at the wall to make some of it stick, there doesn't seem to be a constitutionality issue because, again, it's not regulatory. It has nothing to do with that. The president basically just expanded and did what historically other presidents have done for many, many years. Many, many, many other presidents, and you've heard us say this on our prior programs, many other presidents have done exactly what President Obama did, just not in a climate that was so heated with regard to the immigration issue.
So you can say it is nothing new, but let me say something. What they are pissed off, I'm sorry saying this word, but that's what it is, the Republicans and the anti-immigrant groups, is this. This is nothing a new law. There was an existing law for many, many years. I think even before I started practicing immigration law 40 years ago, the law was there, and we did some cases where the law said that the deferred deportation, that means not deporting a person who is deportable or even against somebody who has a deportation order, the administration can put a hold on that. But those cases were based upon extreme hardship or humanitarian situations, a very small number of cases. So what Obama did, he opened this little hole into a big sea, going to about 5 million, 6 million, 4 million people. So they are saying, well, this is really not what was the intent of the Congress when they had put that provision in the immigration law. So this is what they are saying. Why they are saying that this is really within the powers of the Congress to make a change like this, which has to come from the legislation by passage of a law by the Congress. All right? We agree to some extent on that. But then why did they not pass the comprehensive immigration reform bill? Why did Obama do this? Why did Obama waited for a year and a half, 2 years to do this? When he was the president, Democratic Party at the House, they had the Senate, they could have easily passed this law, CIR, long time ago. Yeah. But in Obama, in his own statement, he said in the town hall meeting the other day, he very clearly said that I gave them a year and a half because I was giving them an opportunity to pass the CIR and not get pissed off because of my administrative. Right. He didn't say the word pissed off, I'm saying. But basically what happened is that that is very right. I mean, so he got frustrated. He got frustrated after waiting a year and a half, they are doing nothing, and he's in the second term, he doesn't have to worry about the election also. So then he went ahead and did it. That's it. He said, okay, if that's not, people say my way or highway or whatever you call it. So this is a big friction going on between the Democratic Party, Obama, and the Republicans. It's sometimes in the political issues that David like this. Some even Republicans may want to do that. Politically, that party wants to claim a credit. Like if Obama pushes and gets the CIR passed, the Democratic Party will get a credit. If Republicans may come with the same or similar thing and they get passed, they get a credit. It's a bloody political fight, actually, more than the real.
I know we're running short on time, but what I'd like to do is I just want to go to your reference on being pissed off. And what I usually tell people is it's better to be pissed off than pissed on. And one of the things I think that's very important is for you to realize that if this decision gets overturned, it's the radical Republicans who are going to be pissed on. Because what will end up happening is that the Republicans are not going to look very good in the next election. I want to quickly tell everyone about some good news. The good news is, for many of you, you know H-4s are now going to be able to work. As of May 26, 2015, H-4s, who are H-1B derivatives, will have an opportunity to be able to apply for employment authorization documents. This has been a tremendous, tremendous boom and opportunity for individuals who are here on H-1B. Their family members have been sitting home. Very, very talented folks will now have an opportunity to apply for work authorization.
We are running out of time today, but in the next program, we'll give you more details on H-4 employment and maybe a little more talk about the pissing off of the things that have happened. So please make sure to watch our program next week on Saturday and Sunday at around 11:40 a.m. Thank you very much for watching the program. And David, thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael.